I need Frieren headpats after episode 16 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. What a great episode. One part is because, yes, a lot of emotion around Voll, Frieren, and yes, additionally, the fact that we don't have an episode next week. We have a 1 week delay for our next episode, which is natural. The last week of the year, Japan is the only time Japan actually takes a break. Is the only time they take a break. So yeah, very unfortunate that we're gonna have a week delay, but still, fantastic episode. There's a few segments in this episode. One obviously is around Sein and his friend. We have some stuff around this Vol character and his connection to Frieren, and then yes, we have the heroes in the statue, which I have some crazy theories, which I'll get into in a minute, but let's dive into this episode. Yes, the beginning segment of this episode is centered around Sein and additionally going into the village that Vol is protecting. Sein stuff kind of just opening up, showing how, yes, don't forget, Sein has a friend that he's looking for. That's what I felt like the whole segment was. Like, oh yeah, by the way, if people forgot, Sein is actually looking for somebody, and he's probably going to split off of the party. I have no doubt at this point that I think Sein is going elsewhere. I think Frieren and them are going to go to this academy, and Sein's going to go off to this other location, which was interesting. It was interesting to finally get a map of the northern region, and it's like, wow, we're not even close to halfway across the northern. Like, our whole goal is to get to the farthest northern place of this place, and we're not even halfway there, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, I love the stuff around Vol. Like, they show up, this old man is sitting there. Frieren's like, "Oh, you're not really senile. Stop you're still acting like you're senile." And yeah, sure enough, he's like, "Oh yeah, you're Frieren." Knocks down Stark, talks about his defense. I kind of was expecting there to be a little bit more connection between Vol and Eisen, but it seemed like most of Vol's connection was to his wife, but additionally opening up a little bit to Himmel. As we get a little backstory that Himmel came by there and noted how strong he was, asked him why he was always there. He pointed out the fact that he made a promise to his wife that was human, and that he's always been protecting the town itself. I kind of assumed at some point it was going to get into Memories itself, which it kind of does, which we can kind of get into now, is yes, Vol is sort of a parallel to Frieren. Frieren arrived there. Himmel kind of showed that he was respectful to Vol for his desire to protect the village. Yeah, it's silly, but she probably appreciates it. The fact that you're keeping her memory going, she probably appreciates it. And Vol, in return, you will probably defeat the Demon King. And he said that he's going to remember Himmel. And he's like, no, I don't need that. Because I have my party members that remember me. I have Eisen, and Eisen's like, I can't outlive Frieren. And he's like, okay, well then, Frieren, it's your job to remember us. Keep our memory alive. And it seems like that was the beginning point for Frieren. I love this, because like I said earlier, I sort of misinterpreted this in the idea that this was the point which Frieren started caring. Because later on she tells Vol, thank you, I appreciate what you did for me then. But she says, now, I appreciate that you told me to remember them, or at least you brought up the idea of remembering them, because now I can appreciate that. So I thought it was an inconsistency in Frieren's character, but no, this was the point in which they haven't even gotten to the Demon King yet. They were going to defeat the Demon King, which again, this area is like not even a quarter ways through this land. So the 3/4 of the land back and their returning journey, Frieren started to pay attention, I guess. It's what it's implying is that Frieren started to pay attention. She started to connect those memories in her head and actually soak it up. That's the important thing there. And she says, now I appreciate it. This entire episode, Frieren is full of smiles, and I love that. Frieren is actually connecting the memories in her head. She's soaking in the memories. And why that's important is because, yes, eventually, after Himmel passes, suddenly she realizes, I should have paid attention more. I should have done that. I should have been a part of it. I should have appreciated those memories. So she had the memories, and she even says at some point, I think I wasted a lot of space with all of Himmel's poses. But then she smiles. Frieren is full of smiles in this episode, and I love it. Because she's with this person, Vol, which, yes, probably the last time we're there, probably didn't care too much for this guy. Old senile man, who cares, whatever, Himmel, let's go. I want to find a grimoire. But now she can look back and go, thank you for telling me to pay attention. Thank you for at least telling me to soak in these memories. Because now, as she's journeying, as she's walking in the footsteps of the hero's party, she's able to recall those memories and realize how important they were to her. It's what I love so much about this writer. This writer piecemeals in things that all connect and are consistent with each other. I thought for a moment it was going to be inconsistent, the idea of her appreciating Himmel and them at that point, because that would be inconsistent to the very first episode where we see that Frieren doesn't seem like she cares. Then Himmel dies, and suddenly she cares. And now she's walking this journey, and she's remembering all these memories and going, yes, that was important. Yes, now I see what Himmel meant. The whole thing with the ring. Wait, Himmel did know what that ring meant. He did love me. That kind of stuff is suddenly hitting her. But I loved every scene with Frieren and Voll. I thought it was fantastic. Yes, obviously Voll's story himself is very simple, but I think because even though it's a simple story, it's impactful to Voll, obviously, but it's something that accents into Frieren. The whole concept is remembering. Remember that promise. Remember your allies. Remember your journey. Remember. And even when it shows how Voll's like, you know, I'm getting older and I'm forgetting these things, he even forgets that Frieren was supposed to go fight the Demon Lord. Which, yes, there's a side of me that almost wonders if he did it on purpose, like he's acting like that, just to kind of live in those old days. Like, Voll purposely said, oh yeah, you're going to go off to defeat the Demon Lord, right? You're going up to North, so you're obviously going to defeat him. My wife was always looking forward to those days of peace. And Frieren kind of stops. She says, no, wait, the Demon Lord's dead. And then she goes along with it. There is an aspect of like not trying to conflict with what he's saying because you don't want to kind of ruin whatever world that he's in. But it could be like that idea of, wait, he's remembering his wife. He's talking about how his wife wanted this thing. Don't argue with it. Like, let him have that moment of kind of being in that moment of it, reminiscing about his wife. Because it sort of does play into the next day where he's like, yeah, I had a dream about my wife. Thank you so much. It was probably because we were reminiscent. It was super sweet. I loved it so much. But yeah, Voll was great, teaching Stark a bunch of stuff, trying to shape him up and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, those old moments with Frieren, it was like most of the villagers were pointing out that this Voll guy is kind of a old senile old man. Most people can't really communicate with him, but he's always been around. He's always been around for 400 years protecting the village, even though dwarves only typically last for like 300 years. It's pointing out how Voll is enjoying his time with Frieren and reminiscing with her, but it's great in the idea that you see how happy Frieren is. Like, I love seeing how happy Frieren was. You just don't really typically see her constantly smiling. Like, she was enjoying being with somebody, a rare case being with somebody that can reminisce with her of the old days, that can technically talk to her about the days that she was with the heroes party. Yes, she has Eisen, but this is kind of somebody that briefly she can take a moment and just kind of talk about the old days with. It's super sweet. But yes, I love all the jokes about staying for a decade. Can you find us work? We're going to stay for a decade. There's something like very satisfying watching Fern pull like all these crops out of the ground, like just that animation and the sound effects pulling them all out. I can just totally imagine like a bunch of carrots being pulled out of crops like that. But yeah, it was sad kind of getting into the idea of Voll forgetting his wife, because I can find that to be very heartbreaking. And I think that's something that Frieren would easily probably relate to, with the idea of not wanting to forget Himmel. And it kind of plays in that whole thing of remembering all these poses, because you have all these different facial reactions and poses for somebody that you're trying not to forget. Super sweet, though. I really love that whole segment. But yeah, the second half of the episode, obviously around Sein, going to this one little location, running into this old lady, what was her name? This stubborn old lady, looking for the guerrilla warrior, and getting into that whole thing. Which, yes, the backstory itself kind of plays out that at some point they got a photo taken together by this mage, which is interesting. There's magic that creates photos, which makes sense. I mean, we have magic that does so many different things, so it makes sense that there's probably a spell that just captures a moment in time, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, as Sein and party arrive at this village, this old lady kind of pushes them around to a bunch of junk, and then eventually brings them to the statue that apparently Sein's friend at some point, Guerrilla Warrior, had cleaned, and they did a better job. But his name was impactful and very memorable. Goatee priest. Oh, so you do know who I am. Yeah, he talked about you all the time. Which, yes, technically kind of pretty much signify that this guy's been around. They at least know where he's going. I'm pretty sure that Sein's probably going to go that direction. I don't see him being connected to Frieren's party that much. This is something that he wants to do. Going with Frieren to the north isn't what he needs to do. He wants to find his friend. That's the whole reason he's here. But yeah, the statue. Let's talk about the statue. Super crazy. I should have seen that it was Kraft, because I remember when they ran into Kraft the monk, he did indicate this idea that he outlived his party, that he lived longer than his party members, and so he has nobody to remember him. And he's looking for, that's why he was technically of the religion that he was, is that he was hoping that one day that person, the goddess, will be the one that will tell him he did a good job, because he doesn't see anybody that's around him living long enough to do that. Now, okay, so that's crazy that it was Kraft. Makes sense. Again, he's an elf. He's been around a long time, just like Frieren. I'm assuming he was older than even Frieren herself. But what they're getting into here is that this was these two heroes. These two heroes that saved the world at some point, and they were to be remembered. And so they made statues of them and everything. Now, the other person, when they first arrived at the statue, I immediately thought one of them sort of looked like Flamel, Frieren's master. Sort of looked like her. Now, yes, hair not as long and everything, but it looked like her. So what my assumption that was going to happen, it was going to be Flamel, but not necessarily Flamel. Because remember, Flamel's been around for a long time. At least, like, I don't know how old Frieren was when she first met Flamel, but we know that she's been around for at least 1,000 years, and that she's building herself to get strong for that long. So Flamel was around a long time ago. She's this legendary mage that people didn't even know if she even exists anymore. So it could be the possibility that Kraft and Flamel fought side by side. Now, I think Flamel at some point said that she did go to the north. She did go to see her party members, and she never indicated that one of them was still alive. So I don't think that's the case. I think Kraft just had another person they were with, a priest or whatever that they fought alongside. But it could have been Flamel with shorter hair. Maybe she told them to craft my statue to make me look more masculine. Maybe she hid the fact that she was a female and acted like a male. Could be. And just she let them have a goatee on the statue, or maybe she had a little bit of scruff. Who knows? But that's where my mind went. But then, yes, when I got close up and I seen that had a scruff and everything, I'm like, no, wait, never mind. It's a dude. Again, it could be Flamel disguising herself, a magic that disguises herself as a male. We don't know. That's where my mind went immediately, because I know that Flamel at some point was with a hero, was with a party. And I think they implied that they failed to defeat the Demon Lord, and that's why she wanted Frieren to train to defeat the Demon Lord. Either way, it's super interesting, and I'm curious to see if they'll ever reveal who the other person is, the goatee priest. But it was still cool. But either way, it was kind of interesting to see Heiter was the reason why he's called the goatee priest. That he was with Heiter, and they were talking about this hero and wanted to be just like them, don't want to be forgotten. And again, it's kind of playing that idea that, yes, over time, unfortunately, for these heroes, despite the fact that they sacrificed everything to save the world, and they erect statues for them, eventually people forget them. And again, it's kind of playing in that whole thing of Voll and Frieren and the idea of not forgetting people. But yeah, after getting that information, they seemingly are parting ways. Like I said, he's like, what am I going to do? Just go. I'm sorry, Sein. I know he's going to go. I'm going to part ways. I don't see Sein really going to the academy with them to do this whole exam. So there you go. But yeah, great episode. Really good stuff. Again, most of the enjoyment for me this episode was definitely around Frieren. Seeing her smile, seeing her happy, seeing her reminisce with Voll. And again, thanking him for... It kind of makes sense why she was so excited to go see Voll. They were kind of pointing out this idea of somebody that's long-lived that she can reminisce with, and it's something that she enjoys to do. But again, she had Eisen, and it's not like she was rushing to Eisen to talk about the old times. I think it was specifically Voll, because she acknowledges that that was a pinnacle part of my life, and she was very appreciative of it. And it does speak volumes to Frieren's character and how she is right now, and how much she is enjoying getting into her history and stuff like that, because this Voll guy essentially opened the door for that. He is the reason why I have so many great memories that I can now appreciate. And that's why I kind of figure it makes sense why she's walking around and she looks so happy. And again, yes, Frieren has emotions, and yes, Frieren's not a soulless doll. It's just that it doesn't seem like she goes out of her way to be happy. It seemed genuine, like they portrayed it well in the anime. It seemed like she genuinely was happy to be with Voll and to talk with him, because that's how much she appreciated what he did. Yeah, don't insult me. Those memories are precious to me, just like your reasoning for defending the village. Your reason for defending the village is your love for your wife, the wife that you've lost. And these memories of Himmel and Heiter and Eisen are precious to me just as much. Their memories are as precious to me as your wives. So good. But super cute stuff though, and yes, tons of Stark and Fern moments again, helping her down and all that kind of stuff. It's like, man, these animators are piling on this ship. They want this ship to sail. They're setting up everything for them. They're getting the bottle ready to crack on the side of it for the mangaka. I don't know if the manga eventually has it kind of play through, or if they're just gonna do their own canon and just make it a thing. They know that people are loving it. I think they know that the viewers are loving it, especially with how much work they put into last episode. It was really great to kind of see a lot of confirmations of the last episode that was fully 2D drawn. I think it's one of those things where you have this expectation that it's going to use CGI, so you assume that somewhere in there's CGI and they're just hiding it really well. No, fully hand drawn. It was just absolutely beautiful. But no, 16. We're not getting back into the last episode. Anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 16 of Frieren Beyond Journeys In. Again, reminder, no episode next week, unfortunately. But I'll definitely be back in the following week to get the episode 17 and continue on, which we've already got the PV for it. So soft spoilers if you don't like check PVs. It does look like, in fact, we are going to be going to the exam. Lots of new characters with very unique appearances, so I'm guessing we're going to have quite a few characters that are going to be competing for the exam or whatever tournament arc or something like that. It looks pretty action heavy, so that might be entertaining, but again, I'm not too enthusiastic about them going to do an exam, but it's like one of those things where I don't really expect Frieren caring to do this. Why would Frieren want to do this? It's just kind of a massive detour. Like, they have to go way west to go to this place. I can totally see Frieren like, no, let's just go there. I don't care. If they tell us not to go there, we'll say, you know, screw you and find a way around. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. I've enjoyed every single episode of the series so far, so I'm probably going to enjoy it no matter what. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's the the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button to get my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody it does. It means so much to me, and y'all take care.